Hey guys, my name is Alex. I'm a model from Miami, and today I'm going to be reading to you an excerpt from STAZR, The World of Z. So, let's get STAZR. We left early the next morning, and I was in a better mood than I had been in a long time. For one moment I even lamented how much time I had wasted living as a hermit. I stopped myself at once. It would be more logical to think of that time not as waiting, but preparation for what was to come. First I decided not to look back like a real traveler. But a few seconds later, I glanced furtively back at the tidy little house lurking in the dense greenery where I lived my whole life. Young undergrowth surrounded him on all sides, as if inviting the old man to come out and play long-forgotten games. He appeared to be peeking out mischievously, silently asking where I was going without him. At once I felt guilty for not set a proper goodbye to my oldest, perhaps only remaining friend, and raised a hand in a pensive wave. And just at that moment, as if in response to my farewell, a swift gust of wind blew a pile of dried leaves and a bright swirl around the house. Smiling at this amusing coincidence, I adjusted the straps in my bag, turned back to face ahead, and, muttering under my breath the names of the cities and villages I had spent all the previous night studying, I walked forward. Slap was a heartwarming sight, cheerfully trotting ahead, deliberately frightening the gulligots lurking here and there. They always congregate in the marshland before migrating to the deep sea. And for the first time, after all my deliberate solitude, I thought it would be rather nice to have some sort of companion. Every distinguished writer you can think of had a merit-to-death companion. Take Mr. Cromwell, for example. In all the books I know of, he was accompanied by a prime fuzzer of the bad people. They did not talk much, all the better, but he helped them out of trouble on more than one occasion, and undoubtedly brought great luck to the intrepid traveler. Or Mr. Beale, who never went anywhere without a fuzzy mutt from the wolf people, who could talk if need be or otherwise bark at passers-by and bite viciously on occasion. Musing on this, I suddenly remembered that at one point I'd given serious thought to taking a Schwein, but my merit-to-death advised me against it. Schwein are headstrong and talk out of turn, but are not easily fooled, and it is with good reason that they are considered the smartest of the lesser races, although I imagine they have had a trotter in forming that opinion, to put it mildly. It is believed that humans brought the original ancestors of the Schwein here, STAZR, and with the influence of STAZR dust, they began to jabber away in their own languages. It was only later, under the pressure of circumstances, that they moved on to speaking STAZR language like the rest of the lesser peoples. Again, this is all more or less rumors and speculation. I've never seen humans personally. They have not been here in such a long time that practically no one remembers what they really look like or why they came. People have said that I can pass for one of them, and now I understand why. As we moved briskly over the rough terrain, carefully skipping from hummock to hummock, I hardly noticed the familiar marshland gradually transform into small ponds. Eventually the water became clearer, and small ray carps became visible, frolicking in the icy water. Stupid things having fun before they totally freezing, Slap said thoughtfully. Noticing my interest in the vertebrates, he paused for a moment before trotting ahead, independently as if nothing in this life could surprise him anymore. Such independent behavior brought me back to thinking about Schwein. It's been a long time since they bore any resemblance to pigs. Dr. Frawley wrote no less than 3 encyclopedias on the subject, and is a well-respected traveler and speciologist not only here on STAZR, but apparently on several other planets, has the following to say on that. An excerpt from the Ultimate STAZR Encyclopedia. 15th segment, The Lesser Peoples. Schwein. Genus of the Photoschwein family of the vertebrate order. 2 species belong to this genus, the common Schwein and the pygmy Schwein, also known on STAZR as the Schweinet. Both species are currently threatened with extinction due to a cankerous disposition and innumerable attempts at double-crossing, all of which had unfavorable consequences for the Schwein family. They are direct descendants of actual pigs, which are believed to have been taken aboard starships by humans specifically to dispose of excess food. But then upon arrival on STAZR, they like some other terrestrial animals, evolved into races of lesser people. When the Zodiac Council passed the Lesser Peoples Act, they were given permission to disassociate from earthly pigs and establish themselves as an independent race, though naturally remaining a denomination of the Meritadicas. My musings on Shrine were interrupted when a strong, dank wind came out of nowhere, causing a large ripple through the lakes, frightening the flitting little carps, while the larger ones continued to turn somersaults languidly in the depths as if nothing could disturb their unhurried flow. It had been dark when we first set out, so I turned around and paused to admire the pale pink reflection. of the slowly rising river, and 100 shallow ponds stretched out before us between narrow strips of milky white sand. I was often left to entertain myself as a child. Some of my happiest memories were connected with those same little ponds. In scorching season, I used to take out some homemade purple gooseberry lemonade and play there. My favorite pastime was launching little boats made from resilient leaves, and when a fierce frost came and no Meritaduts dared stick out their subordinate little snout, I would simply pull a hat out of my bag and set off fearlessly to catch azure salmon in the icy water. And in the off-season, carefully, so as not to fracture the ice crust that was growing heavily there in the heat of Athir, I walked out into the very middle of the cloud lake in search of milk mushrooms.